Do you want to know how I survived my first months as an internationally educated nurse in Canada? The good, bad, and the ugly? Am I struggling through the rough winter? Do you want to know if I struggled as a new nurse in Canada? If I had a difficult time adjusting to the healthcare system as a healthcare professional? And if my financial situation is drastically different as a nurse compared to when I was in the States, then watch till the end. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Koful, and on this channel, we talk about everything nursing, lifestyle, faith, being in my 20s. And if these topics interest you, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So let's get into the video. I would say I had a pretty realistic expectation of Canada as I had been to Canada before or previously, but not Vancouver. The only thing that was a bit of a shock financial wise was having to pay half a month's rent as a security deposit compared to the US where the security deposit was usually around $500 to rent an apartment. Pre arrival wise, I would say there were some visa hurdles, but nothing too crazy. Some of the processes took a bit longer, but it wasn't as bad as it could get. It was definitely an emotional roller coaster for sure, especially figuring out unexpected finances, settling in, and adapting to a new environment. There was definitely a system shock, especially in terms of figuring out unfamiliar policies, clinical wise, as things were done a bit differently compared to where I used to work in the States. The good thing is, I was familiar with the charting system, the pumps, and most of the medications. It was a good adjustment in the sense that I only had one patient. I didn't have to get labs when my patients didn't have a central line or an arterial line, and I also didn't have to get EKGs on my patients. It was definitely a bit of an adjustment in terms of, the policies or the different policies, um, just some few medications, dealing with certain personalities and nurses. Also, like, what else? Maybe some outdated policies and systems and just a general way of doing things. I also had to learn about the Indigenous community in Canada, specifically Vancouver, and also deal with an entirely different population of sick people. And of course, I had to prove my skill as a competent ICU nurse by showing my team that I could adapt to a new environment and way of doing things while still taking excellent care of, patients. Vancouver's apartments are quite expensive due to a supply and demand issue, so I had to balance finding an apartment that was within my price range or my budget and also balancing getting an apartment that was closer to work as I don't drive. And another thing is apartments tend to be more expensive when you're in the city. So that's another thing, just like having to figure out, apartments and housing. I also had to obviously navigate new routes and public transit. Another thing for me was the search for community. I immediately joined a church as soon as I arrived, but recently I have been struggling with consistently attending church because of like my schedule. Sometimes I work Sundays, sometimes I work Saturdays all day. So it's very hard kind of being consistent with going to church, and I'm trying to work on that. Also, I immediately started attending life groups, which is basically different groups where different community of people meet and of believers as well. So yes, I immediately did that weekend. I've not been doing great with consistently attending those live groups. So community is actually a big thing I'm really trying to work on now and to try to just sustain one and just be consistent with going to church or going to life groups. Initially, I was battling imposter syndrome as obviously I'm in a new environment, and actually, a lot of nurses in my workplace are a lot older than me. So it was a bit intimidating at first. And obviously, not all nurses and every colleague is very kind and understanding. So I obviously had to deal with that aspect of things as well. Adjusting to the culture of the unit was another adjustment, as to be completely honest, the way things were done was a bit strange to me at first, and that honestly tested me and honestly helped build my mental fortitude. I am trying to lean into self care, but it can be very difficult when all you want to do is sleep. To deal with this, I try to spend as much time as possible with loved ones, which I've been doing more of a great job, in terms of spending time with loved ones this year, as a lot of my family actually reside in Canada. Um, so yeah, I've been doing that, and I've also been trying to get into and practice my skincare more often, and also learning to know when to take a break when my body tells me I need rest. For me, things started to feel less daunting when I started to become more confident in myself and not allow anyone's attitude affect, how I feel about myself and the work I do. And honestly, to just like ignore the noise and genuinely care for my work and make sure that I am still being excellent at what I do. Key takeaways for me and my advice to future IENs is you can never be too prepared. Never be too relaxed, especially in your first year. Always expect to deal with not the best people at the workplace. Always remain professional. Write down any unfavorable encounters with other colleagues somewhere. So it could be a journal, it could be in your notes on your iPhone or your phone. Always try to be excellent in whatever you do. Be humble enough to learn, but at the same time, be confident in what you do because you're there for a reason. At the end of the day, I don't regret the decision I've made because I love living in Vancouver. I've learned so much about my workplace, I've learned so much about myself. I have expanded my network and I know I can do hard things. So it's all worth it. So that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you liked this video and I hope that my personal experience was able to kind of give you insight on if you're willing to make the move to Canada, wherever you decide to go, and knowing that you can do it and it's worth it if that's what you actually want for yourself. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. And if you liked it, make sure to like, comment. If you have any questions, make sure to share as well to your friends. I've noticed that, and also subscribe. I've noticed that a lot of you are not subscribed to my channel. I think 6.6% of people that watch my channel are subscribed. So that's a lot more people that are not subscribed. So please, if you watch any of my videos and you like any of my videos and you feel like my videos are helpful to you, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.